Welcome, everyone, for our third, fourth, I can't even remember what episode this is of Quick Conversations with Sarah Auda. But I am so glad to have Alissa Mathewson with us today. She is a certified hypnotherapist. I'm going to let her share in a moment of what she does and the services she provides because she is truly such an expert in the ways that she works. And I want her to be an access to you, a resource to you. I want you to have access to her. She's incredible. And the good news is, thanks to modern technology, she can work with people wherever they are. Doesn't necessarily have to be in Los Angeles area, which is where her and I are currently. And so, Alissa, before we dive into our first question, tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about you, the work you do, the various forms that takes.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. So I work with people who are trying to break barriers, get past limitations that they have, usually around core beliefs that are not serving us any longer. I'm also a trauma-informed yoga instructor. I practice Reiki as well with clients, and I really I'm passionate about working with people who are dealing with sort of the darker sides of life, the harder things, the shadow selves, things like that. So yeah, and like you said, I work virtually both in both aspects, and I also can be in person in Los Angeles area if people are interested. And something that I like to say, we've sort of dubbed this recently, is I like to think of myself as the subconscious whisperer. So people will come to me with like, I don't know why I can't stop doing this thing, or I don't know, how why I can't get to this goal I've set. And we're able to find pretty efficiently and quickly what's really going on beneath there by using the rules of the subconscious mind. So I love it.
I love the subconscious whisperer, right? That needs to be the tagline on your website
Right?
as you do this. Yeah. Well, and I
Yeah.
think, you and I were just chatting about this because one of the things I forgot to mention a few moments ago is that you were my very first client ever, 8+
Right.
years ago, 8.5 years ago.
Right.
And to be able to see the trajectory of what you've created in your work, in your career, in, all these certifications and kind of expertise points that you have now filled in, right, doing,
Mhm.
um, it's really tremendous. It's so
Thank
tremendous to see. So
you.
it's just an honor to have you here today.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
and you and I were talking recently because I'm working with a hypnotherapist. And
Yes.
what's interesting is that she markets herself as like a high achiever's like secret weapon, essentially. And I know
Mm-hmm.
then you and I started talking more about where you're at now, and you're like, yeah, that's me and my business too. And I
Hmm.
think that there's this disconnect between more like woo-woo, non-quantifiable right
Right.
modalities of support. Like a lot of people are like, if I work with you, can I create more money, Sarah? And I'm like,
Right.
usually yes, that
Right.
tends to be the case, right? But that's like a quantifiable outcome, whereas it's less deliverables based, right? The hypnotherapy work, which is why I think people kind of keep
Right.
it maybe a little more at an arm's distance. But doing
Mhm.
it myself, I was like, oh my gosh, every high achiever, every business owner should have this as a secret
Yeah.
weapon. So I guess as we go into before we get into the first question, or maybe that is the answer to the first question, is like, what do people need to know right now?
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you have any comments on just that connection between like achievement and the hypnotherapy piece, like how that works together in a way that I haven't really experienced in other modalities.
Well, I think that a lot of us are, beat ourselves up for, we have big ideas, we have goals, we have understandings of ourselves. Um, and then there are blockages, right, in the way of that. Or there are certain people that continue to trigger us, right, and set us back, so to speak. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, and we really are, especially today, like just inundated with information about you're a good person if you do this, you're not a good person if you don't, these sorts of ideas of like, or parent, you're good parents do this. And, it's like on social media, we're just inundated. And I think we're so like removed from who we truly are at our core, which, in hypnotherapy, I've learned is like we are all worthy and lovable. And all of these things that we are doing to sort of buffer ourselves, make ourselves look better to others are really just to prove a point that we really do think we are worthy and lovable. And we have to prove it all the time as opposed to just knowing it. And so I think a lot of, I mean, anybody, business owners, high level executives, all the way down to, I mean, a person who, like, I work a lot with pregnancy and postpartum and the perinatal field. And so, just a woman who's about to give birth and is wondering if she can even do it, just getting to the point where it's like, yes, I can do it, no matter all of the stuff that's coming down at me from everywhere else. Like, what can I really connect to what I can do, so that's what I'm all about helping people with.
I'd like it truly, I'm like, I don't know how I could continue my business without that support, truly.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of amazing how much it touches on that subconscious, and the subconscious controls everything, or the
Mm-hmm.
superconscious, subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
conscious mind. But well,
It
let's dive into the
does.
questions. Let's three
Yeah.
questions because I'm
Okay.
so eager to hear what your thoughts are on this
Okay.
from your unique place in the world, from your perspective and expertise, and
Yeah.
also what you're seeing with your clients,
Mm-hmm.
So the first question is always, what is it that you think people need to know right now?
Right. I mean, it does kind of go in line with what I was just saying. I think that people need to know that so many of us are walking around with, our own unknown and unhealed negative core beliefs. And, you know, we continue to hurt ourselves or to hurt others, right? Because of this, because we're not facing these things. And instead of trusting our own selves and our gut, our intuition, we're focusing too much on fixing symptoms, right? Of this situation, yes, that thing that happened to me, or this person behaving this way, right? And so we're losing sight of what's really going on for us, what's really happening for me underneath all of this, and what our true needs really are in those moments. And so, this is sometimes the reason, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but the reason that our bodies break down for no reason, right? No apparent reason. Things are breaking down. You go to the doctors, they can't find anything. All the tests come back fine, right? And a lot of that is emotional stress that we're just carrying around and suffering with because we're not looking at these unhealed and unknown, more subconscious level truths. We're so focused on the knowledge. What do I know? What, as opposed to what do I feel? And so there are lots of modalities that can help us with these sorts of things, hypnotherapy being one of them. But when you think about, like, that awful person you've been dealing with, or your own shadows that you hold in secret, right? And are triggers of, the unknown or unhealed negative core beliefs that we have, and that they can be changed. I think a lot of people are like, well, that's just how I am. And it's not. That's what I always tell my clients is, like, that was a belief you were given, whether it was from your parents, whether it was from an institution, school, government, church, society, but that is not your true core. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like even as you're talking, I'm thinking of how many people, and I really do believe when you are in the workforce long enough, and you and I have both
Hmm.
had experience in this,
Hmm.
like true, at least little t trauma occurs,
Oh yeah.
period,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like an unhinged boss, right? A divisive coworker, right? Like how many people go to work and their nervous systems are just on fire because
Hmm.
they don't want to be there. They have to dress a certain way. They're away from other, right? Like working from home, you can throw in laundry, you can food prep, right? You can go to your
Right.
own bathroom. You're not, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many, right?
So many things that we're not aware that we're trying to balance at all times. Right.
Yeah, and even a commute to work. Like, what does
Hmm.
that do to the nervous system? So even just
Right.
on a physiological, psychological baseline level, I think
Right.
it's like anyone can create value from like really looking at what's my experience. And maybe
Hmm.
the results are something that some people don't want to look at because it's like, ooh, if the results are
Hmm.
so overwhelming that this is maybe not the job for me, then that opens up a whole other can of worms about what I
Right.
need to do to create more of a stable baseline, or there can be assumptions around that, right? But
Right.
um,
Right.
yeah, wild to think about.
And I think that a lot of times, even with that, I think people are, I know I was afraid for hypnotherapy because I was like, well, what am I going to find in there? It felt very like big and scary and unknown. And what I've since learned is that, your subconscious mind is not going to take you anywhere you're not ready to go. And a
Mm,
lot of the clients that I work with, like, yes, they're at A and they want to be at Z, but they and I know like Z's not, it's not yet, right? And so, I've worked with clients that have needed to leave a bad relationship and it took them 2 years to do it, but they did it. And in the meantime, they found a job that was just a little job to get out of the house. And, so there was all this stuff that they were doing that was like getting them on the way to that big thing that they knew needed to happen, but they just weren't able to do yet emotionally. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so the prompt, right, is really what you shared is like we're walking around with invisible baggage, so to speak, right? And let's maybe not even baggage, accessories
Yeah,
with heavy
right.
accessories that
There you
we've
go.
that feels a little more nice to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe a luxury
Some
bag
are
accessory,
cute, some are a little heavier.
right? So we're walking around with weight that
Mhm.
we don't even necessarily need,
Right.
right? And or maybe even want anymore. So the second question is like what's in the way of people identifying, right, this truth that we're walking around with something?
Well, kind of back to what I said about the inundation of information, right? Some of that's great, but some of that is only encouraging us to second guess ourselves a lot of the time. And so I think looking for others to give us the quick fix is what's getting in the way of like, okay, I don't feel cozy or comfy right now in my skin. So I'm gonna go on Instagram and see if there's, a wrinkle cream that's gonna help me to feel better, right? As opposed to doing the work. And being afraid, I think another thing in the way is being afraid of looking at our shadow selves. And also, on that note, like I tell a lot of clients, like think of it as you're turning on the light in the closet. Like you've got the kid who's scared at night and they're like, there's a monster in the closet. And you go and you turn the light on and it's simply a jacket, right? Once you turn the light on, you can see what it is. You can look at it and you can deal with it. And so that's really what hypnotherapy is oftentimes when you see what it is, there's so much healing in that and it's just not as scary. And I think we, again, continue to invest in the symptoms rather in the preventative mental health. So, we go to the doctors to fix a symptom, but when are we really taking care of preventing in our mental health and not just, oh, I need to talk to a friend sometimes. I mean, that's very beneficial, but sometimes you need, someone who's not who's objective in your world and can support you in a way that is really for your best interest.
Well, and you're playing in the subconscious, right? Because the conscious ego wants to take over and be in
Yeah,
control, right?
right.
So you're actually playing in something that like taps into a more fundamental change level where once you
Yep.
shift the subconscious, then, and we're always shifting, right? Every day we're
Mhm.
getting data and we're deciding what to do psychologically with it,
Right,
right?
right,
Was that positive? Was it negative? Why was that the
right,
case? And we're not even aware of that, right? So why
right.
not have, to your point, reaction, right, versus design? Like, how can we be more intentional about even being aware
Mhm.
of what our subconscious mind is, right? Those
Right.
habits,
Well, and
the
and a
mental
lot of
habits.
like, yeah, and a lot of mental health, my wife is a psychotherapist and I'm all about mental like talk therapy and counseling. But it's conscious. It's and when you're talking, you're knowing, your thinking space, it's conscious. It's not subconscious. It's not what's really happening underneath. And people have a hard time accessing that because we're again so far away from our deepest needs sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question is, what is one simple action someone can take to grow more or to open more to this area, to this truth?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, setting up a consult with me, I can talk with people. I love talking with people just about what's going on for them. And, I feel that when people meet with me, they can vibe me out too and be like, this is going to work or not work for me. But really, it's about finding out what is holding you back, what's holding you back, what's preventing you from shining your true light, what's preventing you from, being aligned with your values? I mean, I know we've worked a lot on that, with you, is like, what are my values? And a lot of people, maybe they have an idea, but they're not sure if it's aligning with what behaviors and actions they're taking now. And so we can get into the subconscious need, not just like desire, that's there too, but like the need of what is that they truly need right now to be at their like ultimate, most aligned self. And I love working with people who are wanting to access those subconscious patterns, right? Who are wanting to settle their nervous systems, who want to be more effective in their work, in their day-to-day life. And I want to, efficiently help them to gain clarity on what's happening subconsciously for them so that they can show up differently. So that's, you know, even just in a consult, we can kind of get into that and then discuss more, but it's something that I just am passionate about helping people with. And if they, outside of that, I'd say just sit down and write what your top 5 values are, and then start to like look at the rest of your life and like, where is my value here? Is it aligned here? And if not, okay, let's take notice of that. How can I bring in more of that value here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the subconscious really is the root of where people, like when we talk about success, success starts on the subconscious level, right? And so
Mhm.
getting to work with people at that level where, to your point, it's not about the outside accolades or job promotions or title or even pay increases, but
Yeah.
it's about what am I assuming? What am I projecting? What am I imagining to be true? Because that's how we're going to show up.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it's truly the work that you do, right, is high achievement
Yeah.
work, right?
Right. Right.
So where can people find out more about you? Your email, your website, socials. We'll also put them in the
Yes.
link for the show notes, but
Okay, great. My email is Alissa and that's Alissa at cocoontherapyservices.com. And then my website is offeringtree.alisamathewson.com.
okay.
I'm also on Instagram on Cocoon Therapy with Alissa, and we'll stop with that. I think that's enough.
Yeah. And then as you do events, right? Obviously, we're
Yes.
recording this in what is this? June 3rd of
Hmm.
2026. So who
Hmm.
knows what you'll be doing even 6 months from now with all
Yes.
sorts of exciting things on your plate.
Yes. Yes.
But we'll include those. And I mean, truly, like I
Thank
think the
you.
service that you do in this capacity is so tremendous. More people need it than I think are cognizant of that. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that we're in a day and age where there are actually, a lot more data points around how much this really contributes towards high performance. And it's so
Hmm.
interesting, right? When we think about the Olympics, we don't bat an eye that people have an entire, right? There's one person to massage their calves. There's one person to get them water, right? And when we
Hmm.
think about ourselves as business owners or as professionals, who are those equivalents to us? And
Yeah.
to me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this piece is so important, and it's different than talk therapy. It's very
Much.
different. And I think both are incredibly valuable, right? But it's like
Hmm.
those nuances in my finance department. I have a CPA and a financial advisor, a bookkeeper, and a money coach.
Hmm.
I've got 4 people to cover that one area, right?
Yes.
Because one person doesn't cut it.
Right.
So in the rest of our experience, like who's on the team? So
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
you're doing incredible work. And
Thank you, Sarah.
stay on. We'll go ahead and end this for
Okay.
now, but check out Alyssa's links below. And you can see more about me and my work at 3beatsconsulting.com. Until next time.
Bye.